Hello everyone, this is James from 3D Printing Reviews and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be having a look at the NFire 1 3D printer that I received a few months ago now. First of all, just going to show you a speeded up unboxing that I did in the previous video, so go back and check that out. And then just some slideshow photos of the assembly really. All the instructions are available on the NFire 1 or NFire Labs website, so go check that out. So yeah, and I'll be back shortly for a video. Okay, let's have a closer look at the NFire 1 3D printer. Let's start down at the base here. As we go through this video, you may see a couple of things that aren't included with your NFire 1 if you've purchased one, or that weren't on the Kickstarter. I'll explain those as we go. There's just a few add-ons that I've added, so let's talk about this blower fan. It's not currently attached actually because the bracket that I'd made broke this morning during a print, so I'll be designing a better one which will be released soon. But yeah, the blower fan is to cool the PLA once it prints out, or whatever other filament you're going to be printing. And that would go roughly somewhere like that, just blowing just above, so it will sit just above the nozzle but blowing down onto the filament, and that is absolutely essential, I would say. The NFire one doesn't have any layer cooling at all, and when you're printing temperatures that we are, especially with this filament in here, which is the Florian printer 3D printer filament, so which is around the 235 mark, you're doing small intricate parts, you definitely need some layer cooling. So that's one addition I would definitely recommend people look into. So let's work our way up. So here we've got the bearing carriages which hold the arms down to the effector. One little tip I will give if you haven't built yours yet is that when you have fully built everything according to the instructions and you're moving it around manually, you may notice that it gets very stiff as you take the whole part up to the top. So it gets stiff sort of around here. The reason for that is when you, in the instructions, when you put everything together, obviously you tighten these bolts up all in sequence, but it actually, one of them might slightly just be out of alignment. So what I would recommend is, once you've got it built like this, if you do find that they stick, just undo them slightly, all of them, take it up to the maximum position, tighten them up, and then manually move it up and down, and you'll notice that will have solved that problem, hopefully. So that's one little tip for you. So let's move up and have a look what else we've got. So this is the extruder, or the stepper motor for the extruder. It's a Bowden setup. You can't quite see that, but there's not a lot to see there. One thing I have found is that it leaves very little tension on the filament. The spring is quite tight, so the spring is enough to grip the filament and take it through. So again, if you're having problems with your printer and you see that the stepper motor skips, that could well be it. So that's the second tip. So let's just have a look here. This is the power for the ramps board. One little tip from me here is actually be very careful when you plug the supplied power supply into the supplied power jack, which this is not, because mine broke actually. It just wouldn't sit in the connector correctly, and a little bit too much force on my part broke it completely. So be very careful with that. These two black and red wires here are the E3D V6 light cooling fan. So they plug directly into the power supply. And if we go just into the top here, you'll see my next addition to the printer, and that's cooling for the stepper drivers. They get particularly hot on this printer. I've tried changing the voltage for those drivers, but that then impeded on the operation of them, so I've put them back to what they were, which is 1.1 to 1.2 volts, and with the cooling they work absolutely perfectly, and actually quite cool to the touch, so that's working very well. Excuse me. You'll notice here a couple of extra wires. Obviously to power those fans I needed a 12 volt supply, so on the ramps board is actually an unpopulated header to supply 12 volts, so I've utilised that there and added a second line as well, which I hope to add some RGB LEDs to at a later date. I'll actually make a video on that when I do it, so that you can see how that needs programming in the firmware and what effect that gives. So yeah, let's just have another look round, and here's the next addition. It's just a nozzle holder, because I intend to print various different materials on here and go through a few nozzles. So we've got a couple of 0.6mm nozzles and a 1mm nozzle in there. So yeah, so that's about all for today. If you have any questions about the NFire 1, please leave them in the comment section, or head over to NFire Labs' own website. They've got a community that we're trying to build over there, so you're more than welcome to come over and ask any questions you have about the NFire 1. Actually, one last thing I'll discuss in this video is how I use the NFire 1 and how I connect it to the PC, or how I print with it. Now, obviously at the moment it's meant to be just plugged into the PC or a Mac via USB, and you slice and use Repetier host to use for your 3D printer. Personally, I use Simplify 3D to slice my models, and I use a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint on to handle the operation of the printer. Just connects to the local network, and then you access it via a web browser, and it works perfectly. You can attach the dedicated Pi camera or a USB camera for time-lapse videos, which I've done a few of on the channel. So yeah, so that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, keep on printing. Thank you.